Today, I wish to start with one sum on partnership admission. Just observe the sum on the screen. Janki and Ekta are partners of a partnership firm sharing profit and loss in the proportion of 2:3. Their balance sheet as on 31st of December 2004 is as under. On liability side, you are given capital of Janki and Ekta. General reserve 8,000, that is an undistributed profit that will be distributed between Janki and Ekta in the ratio of 2:3. Then you are given creditors. On asset side, you are given land and building, tools, stock, debtors, cash and bank cash balance. Profit and loss account debit balance 2,000. This profit and loss account debit balance 2,000 is an undistributed loss, and that gets distributed between Janki and Ekta in the ratio of 2:3. On the above mentioned date, they admitted Dolly in a partnership on the following conditions. Dolly would bring necessary amount in cash towards capital on the basis of her profit and loss ratio, and rupees 5,000 in cash towards goodwill. The new profit and loss sharing ratio is determined at 2:1. Now new profit sharing ratio is 2:1. 2 plus 2 plus 1, 5. So if 5 is the total capital in the firm, then Dolly is supposed to bring rupees 1 as capital. So if total capital of the firm is 5, new partner Dolly brings 1, and the capital of remaining two partners, that is Janki and Ekta, is 4. So on the basis of total capital of Janki and Ekta, we have to find out the necessary amount to be brought by Dolly. Now what is the ratio of capital that Dolly is supposed to bring? 1/5 of the total capital. What is the total capital of Janki and Ekta? 4/5. So we shall find out the capital of Janki and Ekta after giving all the adjustments for revaluation of assets and liabilities. We will also take care of goodwill that she brought. For having a share in profit, that also will be recorded. After that, what is the capital of Janki and Ekta? On the basis of that capital, Dolly is to bring proposed capital. Total of Janki and Ekta's capital is 4, then Dolly's capital is 1. So total of Janki and Ekta's capital is found out after giving the effect of this adjustment, and the total of capital into 1/4, that will be the capital of, that is the capital required to be maintained by Dolly after admission in a partnership firm. The value of land and building is to be increased by 10,000, and consider the value of tools to be 12,000. Provide 10% for bad debt reserve on debtors. Outstanding income not recorded is 1,000. From the above information, show all calculations and prepare accounts and due balance sheet in the books of the company. Now, let us start with this sum. Here I prepare profit and loss adjustment account. This is partner's capital account. This is cash and bank account. This is balance sheet after admission. First of all, I will start with revaluation adjustment. Then I will calculate goodwill. After giving the effect of revaluation adjustments and goodwill, I will find out the capital of Janki and Ekta, and on the basis of that capital, proposed amount is to be brought by Dolly. So let us start with, first of all, revaluation adjustments. The value of land and building is to be increased by 10,000. The value of land and building is given 60,000. So I write on the asset side 60,000. I increase 10,000 to it. So total land and building reported in the balance sheet at 70,000. Increase in value of land and building is a gain. That gains credited to profit and loss adjustment account. So 10,000 credited to profit and loss adjustment account. This is how the effect of first revaluation adjustment is given. Land and building account debit. 2. Profit and loss adjustment account credit. Next. And consider the value of tools to be 12,000. Now see, tools are given to me in the sum 10,000. They are valued at 12,000. So increase in value is 2,000. This increase in value is a gain. Gains are credited to profit and loss adjustment account. So 2,000 credited to profit and loss adjustment account. Journal entry for that is tools account debit to profit and loss adjustment account credit. Next. Provide 10% bad debt reserve on debtors. Debtors are 15,000. That I write in the inner column of the balance sheet asset side. Now bad debt reserve is to be provided at 10%. So 15,000 into 10%, 1,500 is a bad debt reserve. This is a reserve created out of profit to provide for loss on accounts of bad debts. So it's a creation of reserve, bad debt reserve. So it is to be debited to profit and loss adjustment account. So journal entry for that is profit and loss adjustment account debit 1,500 to bad debt reserve on debtors account credit 1,500. Now next. Outstanding income not recorded rupees 1,000. Outstanding income receivable. Income receivable has not been recorded. So income receivable is an asset not recorded. We will record it on the asset side. So that amounts to increase in an asset. Increase in an asset is a gain that gets credited to profit and loss adjustment account. Look at it. Outstanding income balance sheet asset side. Profit and loss adjustment account is credited with 1,000. This is how this revaluation adjustment is taken care of. The journal entry outstanding income account debit 1,000 to profit and loss adjustment account credit 1,000. That's a journal entry. Now after considering this revaluation adjustment, I want to copy the remaining details from the balance sheet, or I want to consider the remaining details of balance sheet for the purpose of completing this sum. So stock I write on the asset side, same value. Cash and bank balance brought forward. This profit and loss account debit balance 2,000 is a loss. That loss gets distributed in the ratio of 2:3. So 2,000 into 2 by 5. Share of Janki in loss is 800. Share of Ekta in loss is 2,000 into 3 by 5, 1,200. So this is a share in loss. And the share in loss is debited to the capital account of Janki and Ekta. So Janki's capital account is debited with 800 rupees. Ekta's capital account is debited with 1,200 rupees. So what is the journal entry? Janki's capital account debit 800. Ekta's capital account debit 1,200 to profit and loss account credit 2,000. This is how distribution of loss is accounted for. Now capital of Janki, capital of Ekta. General reserve 8,000 is also an undistributed profit that gets distributed in the ratio of 2:3. Look at the working. 8,000 into 2 by 5, 3,200 is the share of Janki in general reserve. 8,000 into 3 by 5, 4,800 is the share of Ekta in general reserve. This is an undistributed profit that gets credited to the capital accounts of the partners. So general reserve account debit to Janki's capital account to Ekta's capital account. The amount to be credited is 3,200 and 4,800. So here notice it, I have credited 3,200 and 4,800 to their respective capital accounts. Now I will write down creditors 12,000 as it is in the new balance sheet. I have considered the details from the balance sheet. Now I want to consider or I want to calculate the profit or loss on revaluation of assets and liabilities that will be disclosed by closing profit and loss adjustment account. So total of credit side of profit and loss adjustment account 13,000. From 13,000, 1,500 is deducted. So I get a gain of 11,500. this 11,500 is a gain that gets distributed between Janki and Ekta in the ratio of their profit sharing, that is 2:3. So share of Janki in this profit is 4,600. How it's being arrived at? 11,400 into 2 by 5. 4,600 is the share of Janki in this revaluation profit. Now I want to work out the share of Ekta, that is 3/5 of 11,500. That amounts to 6,900. So profit and loss adjustment account debit 11,500. Profit and loss adjustment account debit 11,500 to Janki's capital account 4,600. To Ekta's capital account credit 6,900. This is how revaluation profit is distributed amongst partners. Now I want to consider capital and goodwill adjustment. Look at it. Dolly would bring necessary amount in cash towards capital on the basis of profit and loss ratio, and rupees 5,000 in cash towards goodwill. Now let us go for goodwill accounting. First of all, goodwill brought by a new partner is to be distributed between sacrificing partners in the ratio of sacrifice. Here we are given old profit sharing ratio and new profit sharing ratio. On the basis of that, we shall work out first of all share sacrificed, and on the basis of share sacrificed we shall work out sacrificing ratio. Notice it now. Old ratio 2:3, new ratio 2:2:1. Share sacrifice is equal to old share minus new share. For Janki, old share is 2/5. New share is also 2/5. So there is no sacrifice by Janki. Old share was 2/5. New share is also 2/5. So there is no sacrifice by Janki. So Janki won't get anything for the goodwill that is being brought by new partner. Notice it. Now Ekta, old share was 3/5. New share is 2/5. Sacrifice is 1/5. Dolly gained a share of 1/5. So Dolly got the entire share in profit from Ekta. So whatever the goodwill is brought by Dolly will be received by Ekta because she is the only sacrificing partners. So receives for goodwill, pays for goodwill. What is the amount of goodwill brought? 5,000. So journal entry for that is cash account debit to Ekta's capital account credit 5,000. So I debit cash account debit 5,000 to Ekta's capital account credit 5,000. This is how goodwill is accounted for. How it's accounted for? Cash brought by new partner for goodwill or premium is to be distributed between sacrificing partners in the ratio of sacrifice. Here Ekta is the only sacrificing partner. Janki has not sacrificed anything. Janki gets nothing from this 5,000, while Ekta gets the entire amount of 5,000 because she is the only sacrificing partner. Notice it. Now I want to take care of capital adjustment. What is the capital to be brought by Dolly on the basis of profit sharing? So let us first find out share of Janki and Ekta is 2 plus 2, 4. Or if the capital of Janki and Ekta is 2 plus 2, 4, then Dolly is required to bring 1 as capital. So 4 is the capital contributed by Janki and Ekta. Then in proportion to that, Dolly has to contribute 1 rupee as the capital. Now let me find out the total contribution of Janki and Ekta in this form. For that, I will find out the capital balance of Janki and Ekta. To find out the capital balance, total of credit minus total of debit. Look at it. Total of credit 30,000 plus 3,200 plus 4,600. This total of credit is 37,800. For Ekta, total of credit is what? 50,000 plus 4,800 plus 5,000 plus 6,900. This total is how much? 66,700. From this total of credit, I will deduct total of debit. So 800 and 1200 is deducted therefrom. So 37,000 is the capital balance of Janki and Ekta's capital balance is 65,500. Their total capital is 1,02,500. So 1,02,500 is the total capital of Janki and Ekta. Now I want to find out the capital to be contributed by Dolly. How much? So if 4 is the share in profit, total capital contributed by Janki and Ekta is 1,02,500. If 4 is the total share in profit of Janki and Ekta, then total capital contributed by Janki and Ekta is 1,02,500. How much capital Dolly is required to contribute if she gets 1 share in profit? So what's the amount proposed to it? So 25,625 is the capital contributed by Dolly. Dolly brings this much of capital for their cash account debit to Dolly's capital account credit. This is how entry for capital brought by Dolly gets recorded. Now after calculating the proposed capital in this fashion and writing the entry for capital brought, now we can conclude this sum. Now let me find out the capital balances. Capital balance of Janki is 37,000 that appears on the balance sheet liability side. Capital balance of Ekta is 65,500 that appears on the liability side of the balance sheet. Capital of Dolly is 25,625 that also appears on the liability side of the balance sheet. Now I want to find out the cash balance that will appear on the asset side of the balance sheet. So 33,625 is the closing balance that appears on the asset side of the balance sheet. After closing capital accounts and cash and bank account, I want to tell the balance sheet have a total of asset side and liability side. The total of asset side is 1,40,125 and total of liability side is also 1,40,125. The total agrees. This is how this sum gets solved. I think you must have followed this sum. Observe the sum. Thanks to all of you.